You're listening to the SojuTalk Nation podcast, episode 22.
On today's episode, we discuss this week in music and life adventures.
So sit back and chill with friends. You're listening to the after show with the SojuTalk Nation. Welcome to the SojuTalk Nation podcast, a chill discussion on this week in the SojuTalk Nation. We're recording on Wednesday, June 9, 2021. I'm your host, Crispy, and joining me this week is Koala.
Hello.
Hi, Koala. How are you?
I'm dying.
Can you tell everyone why it is that you are dying?
Because of allergies. My eyes have never been this red and burning as much before.
Yeah, you were going through a moment before recording. We had to kind of delay things for you to gather yourself. But you know what? I think you're okay. I think you're here. I think you're doing great. And we're going to have a great show. So let's move on now to announcements this week. Soju Sessions, episode 11. Yes, that's right. I was going solo, low, 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 low. Is that right?
Low.
Is that the number of lows? Is that the correct number of lows? I forgot. I don't have the exact song in front of me. But yes, I went solo talking about Tiffany and Alexa. So check that out on the SojuTalk Nation podcast feed. Somehow I got to talking about them for 50 minutes all by myself. I was only planning to talk about them for 30 minutes, but somehow I got there. So yeah, see the ways in which I get to that 50 minutes, because I even surprised myself. Celebrating the nation this week on June 10th, we have the crackhead from Seattle, the I don't even know how to describe it anymore. The delusional Unifan, the kid who apparently has a girlfriend now, Bagel. So wish Bagel a happy birthday on June 10th. I think that's the day that this episode will drop. So it'll be a nice celebration and a combination of events between this show and Bagel's birthday. All right, moving on now to this week in Soju Talk Music. Before we get started, though, we have something special from a member from the nation. So Delmonic, as some of you may know, on the Discord server, he's Canadian. He's from Canada, and he loves MAMAMOO. He when he first joined the server, I think that was one of his big sticking points, is that he's the biggest MAMAMOO fan, and he would post all of the emotes from the server. So yeah, we've all gotten to know him really well, and just talking to him here and there about his love and affection for MAMAMOO, I asked him to send something in, perhaps a recording, perhaps a written note, but he ended up sending an essay, a letter about MAMAMOO and why he loves them. So coming up, before we get into music, I will be reading that letter to kind of set the table and to get us in our feels about MAMAMOO. So coming up, here is Del's letter to MAMAMOO. Hey, this is Delmonic, or better known as Del, and Crispy has asked me to share my thoughts and feelings on why I love MAMAMOO. Though it's difficult for me to put into words, I'll try and highlight the things that have made me fall in love with this group. First thing I love about them is their incredible vocal talent. 4 incredible vocalists who could all very well be and are successful soloists in their own right. Yes, that includes Moonbill. Even though she's mainly a rapper, she has a beautiful singing voice. Her recent collaboration with Bumpkey, titled The Lady, showcased her vocal talent. The rest of the group speaks for itself. Solar's clear and powerful vocals, Ween's soft and sweet-sounding voice, the backbone of the group, and Hwasa's powerful and unique jazzy yet sensual sound, not to mention their harmonies. Even though their voices are all incredibly different and distinct, they can all come together to create beautiful and powerful harmonies. The diversity between all of their voices allows them to have a very unique and diverse discography as well. From retro jazz to funk to R&B to ballads and their poppy upbeat tracks, there's always something for whatever mood you're in, and they pull them all off incredibly well. Secondly, MAMAMOO thrives on live performances. Their live performances are spectacular and are even better than their studio versions. They have amazing stage presence and their vocals carry so much weight and emotions. Even though I don't understand Korean, I get chills and become emotional through their songs. They're also a riot on stage, always having a blast. Still delivering an amazing performance. Passion Flower and Mama 2020 being my favorites. Finally, their personalities and love for each other. Having watched many of their live performances and variety content, they truly are a riot on and off stage. But the way they care and support each other really makes me love them that much more. What more is there to say without rambling on endlessly? When you hear the name MAMAMOO, you know to expect something great, and that is a testament to their hard work and dedication. For a group that was their company's first and deemed to fail, they've made a name for themselves through their will to succeed and their raw talent. From bops to ballads and everything in between, with some of the top vocal prowess in the industry, to just being amazing performers and enjoyable personalities to watch and to listen to. They're a group I hold very dear and love endlessly. Thank you, Del, for submitting that amazing letter, that amazing essay, that love poem to MAMAMOO. A really nice, loving way for us to start this week in music. Koala, are you in your feels now? Are you ready to start this week in music?
I guess I am. I'm still a bit dead. I'm like really trying hard to not fall asleep.
Well, hopefully this musician will resurrect you and give you the energy you need. So first off this week, we have B.I. with Illa Illa. You know this guy very well, Koala. He is one of your favorite people in K-pop. Before we go into the crew's reactions and what the crew thought, what does B.I. mean to you, and what did you think about the song?
I don't know, he just kind of started off to be one of the most inspiring artists I've followed in the past years when I started to get into iKON, which was like, it was before Love Scenario, so a couple of years back. And now it's been like 2 years since he left the group, and I was really excited to see whether he would come back to the music scene or not. And he did indeed with his own label 131, which is under IOK. So both Doug and Warren were right in the episode, more or less. And this song so the whole album, Waterfall, is just really good depiction of how he felt in the past years and what his feelings and thoughts were. You can tell that from like the whole lyrics and also the visuals in the MV, for instance. So the MV is mostly like beach scenes and him running, as Doug said, in those marked. What was the exact word? I forgot. Marked. There was a word for it. I forgot. Anyway, and it's like a good way to see that he started off with being really lost in the ocean, lying down on the beach, and ended with friends chilling on the balcony and watching fireworks. And this is like the whole feel of the album, even though it's still like made with a lot of YG producers. So you've got Millennium or Resang, then you get Choice 37, Kang Woo-jin, Diggy. So all of these people have worked on like YG songs before. And I also know that the song, so Illa Illa, and also a couple of B-sides have been played at YG Entertainment. So I don't really know what the business is there, whether they are like still working in-house with Hanbin. I'm not quite sure. But besides the producers, I think the whole imagery is very different. So the MV was also made by, I forgot the name, but I know that that person worked on BTS MVs before, I think. Woogie? It might be Woogie. And his dance videos were also all shot in 1 Million Dance Studios, which some of you might be familiar with. So this is a clear restart for him, as his one song Rebirth says, but also still very connected to that sound that I like of YG in general, which makes sense if you look at the credits. This song as a whole, I really enjoy, even though I get the criticism of Warren saying it's a bit repetitive. He himself, so Hanbin also said himself that he finds this song a bit unorganized. So the melody and the mix and the lyrics, he found it unorganized, but he still released it, which I found quite interesting. He has a ton of content, a ton of behind the scenes content where he shows and expresses his feelings, so you can look that up. I don't think everything is out yet. I think there's a lot planned for the next 2 weeks, with him also talking and elaborating on it a bit more than I can do now. Yeah, I think. Have I forgotten anything? I don't know.
No, that was excellent, Koala. I think the one point that I really appreciated that you brought up is that with all the behind the scenes and kind of information coming out about the song, and even Hanbin talking about his production and his process, that he felt like the song was unorganized, and there were some elements of the song that may not have worked completely, but he still wanted to release it because he had a direction, he had a theme, and he had a message that he wanted to convey. I think that was more important to him than fine tuning every single piece of the song. Also considering he doesn't necessarily have the pressure of a large label anymore, right? Where he's just on his own and he can go on his own time frame. I think with summertime and kind of the imagery of being on the beach, and kind of still that transitional period where it's still kind of okay to be introspective, kind of to look out into the sunset, look out into the horizon. I think it was a nice time for him to release the song. Again, even though it may not be complete in and of itself, I think Warren's dislikes and criticisms of the song being in line with how Hanbin feels about the song, it's actually pretty cool. Because now you see two points of view where like you have the audience who can recognize certain things about the song that may not have completely worked. But then you have the creator saying like, yeah, that didn't work, but this is kind of the reason why. Like we kind of piece it together. And you can kind of come like to find a happy medium about like the criticism about a song, but then still feeling the emotions of why the song exists. One of the pieces of imagery I really liked is building a sandcastle, because it's this idea of kind of metaphorically building different elements in different parts of your life through experience, but all of it can come crumbling down at any moment if a wave were to come through and just push it down, knock it over. But you can always rebuild it. You can always learn from your experiences and build it somewhere else, grow it further. And for him, it's growing it with friends, growing it with more people, different people around him. I know we're going very deep into the themes of the song, but I did just want to reflect on the overall artistry of music like this, because I think it's important to spotlight it and give it some celebration occasionally, because I think for K-pop we're pretty much like caught up into the broad appeal of music, and I think it's important for BI's music to exist, just to give us a little bit of a different feel, a different sound, a different take, right? With regards to the music, what did you think about BI's album being much more vocal heavy than rap heavy? I think Anita mentioned on the show that her expectations were like rap, hip hop. With everything that BI has gone through over the past few years, even expecting kind of retaliation and just being angry with his rap. But what did you think about it being refreshing and being, a very sentimental, somber album?
I really liked it. So I knew before that he also had a pretty not the best. He's not the best vocalist, but for some reason his voice just works with emotions. Just the same as Bobby, his singing voice is also great, and people outside of the fandom won't notice it because YG didn't push their vocals as much. So I'm really happy that he's able to express that this time around. Another thing I wanted to add is you said that what was it? The summertime where he released this MV. He actually planned to release this whole album in the winter. So he wanted to have that cold beach feeling, but he decided to not do it and to just release it in the summer instead.
Nice. Oh, cold beach is an excellent way to describe it. I actually love that imagery and just like that concept of, um, you know, going to a beach during different times of the year during different seasons. But I think early June is still fairly cold beach season, especially if you're in Northern California where the beaches are always cold. Yeah, that's a joke for Northern California people. Any final things about the song Illa Illa or the album or even what the crew had mentioned this week?
I love the features. I love that it's high and tableau on the
High
B side.
song, High song is amazing. Lehigh, for those who call her by her full name. We're on a first name basis with Lehigh, obviously. But High song is amazing. I love that song. Yeah, I listened to this album a lot over the past few days. And it's one of those albums where it's like there's a lot of introspection, there's a lot of self reflection, but also I can just have it on while I'm doing things. It is very easy listening, even if there is a lot of emotion to it. And yeah, I think Lehigh and Tableau's features just fit so well with his music style and his choices for this style of singing and hip hop esque
Yes.
genre. So
The whole album is also really just following that water theme through the lyrics and also a bit the dream theme. After I've listened to Daydream, I paid more attention to his lyrics and whether he's implicating something in that direction. Then I noticed that he's also like hinting at dreams a lot in his album. So there's some notable quotes, and it's really interesting how he just writes lyrics and composes music.
yeah, I think he does take his artistry very seriously, and then I think it did reflect with Icon in the past, right? It's just now that he's able to do things again without the pressure of a large label, a lot more creative freedom, and even like the tag at the end of this music video where he's in the studio and you see him like in his process, and you see him just recording. I think it's a very subtle moment and it's something that is probably common in a lot of music videos, but for me it's very reflective of just like the way he thinks about art and music and you know letting it be part of his life. Yeah, I don't know where else to say go with that. Koala, you get the final word. What do you want to how do you want to end this BI conversation?
Mm, I would just hope that people might give it a try and maybe look at the lyrics because you can really tell that he's talking about the past, the drug scandal, his feelings, the past 2 years, how they were for him. And he put a lot of work into it, so I would be really happy if people would check it out.
And I hope people check it out as well. All right, let's move on now to a Monster X with Gambler. Okay, I'm gonna start off by summarizing a few things about what the crew said because I felt very similar. I think the main point is Doug was very conflicted. On the one hand, very on brand with Monster X, and I agreed. It was one of those where it's like, oh, I've seen this before from them. So let's caveat that from them. But then also the fatigue in that, oh, I've also seen this before by the majority of boy groups this year and last year. So I think that's where it's like, it's tricky with this song and tricky with Monster X because I do agree that this does fit. It's very on brand for them. But we've also seen not just boy groups do this, but the direct comparison on the show is that it felt like Boa is better and Woods feel like. So Cole, what did you think about that comparison and that being kind of the main talking point for at least musically for Gambler?
I think at this point, Monster X really needs to switch it up a bit because we're so used to the sound of them that it feels so much in line that it could also just have been a past title track. I don't really remember it because Monster X has been sounding like that for quite a long of time now. And I don't think they ever switched up their concept a whole lot, so it's always been this darker sound. And I would really like to see them just switch it up because they also probably need it after all that has happened in the past.
Do you feel like this song could have been one of the Kingdom songs?
I'm not quite sure. Kingdom feel a tiny bit more darker even.
Wow, even darker. Okay. Well, you're the boy group. You know more about boy groups than I do. So, and I actually didn't follow Kingdom all the way to the end. But for me, when I watched this, I was like, oh, this could have been on stage with the other boys. Like that's what I felt, right? Like not saying that that's a positive or a negative about the song. It's just like it very much fits in the meta, fits in the current trends of boy groups, and for whatever reason, Monster X did not accept the invitation to Kingdom. That's their prerogative. But I just felt like this fits very in line with what we know about boy groups currently. There's a couple of few things that Anita said that were interesting, that were a little bit more positive and uplifting. I did like the styling as well, and the concept of the heist, with kind of the edgy, classy look and like suits and trying to infiltrate like this corporate situation. But then there was also an auction happening, and then there was a fight scene. A lot of interesting things. Personally, I do like music videos if there is a story that are self-contained. I don't think there's lore attached to this. Am I wrong? Do I have that correct, Koala?
There's no lore.
Okay, cool. Because when I watch something like this, it's like, oh, cool. It's like a movie, right? And I'm cool with that. So I do like self-contained stories, and that's why for me, this music video was engaging. But then Anita did talk a little bit more about the music, how the start of the chorus, the melody wasn't very strong, and it just felt a little empty and static. Do you agree or disagree with any of the music opinions and choices that Warren and Anita made about this song?
I honestly don't have a whole lot of feelings. I had a phase where I was listening to a lot of Monster X, but the reason why I fell off is because it was too similar at some point. I would still say this is one of their weaker songs if you compare it to the style that they've been doing. So yeah, I would probably agree to most of it.
Nice. Yeah, no, I think if you're fairly new to K-pop, this is a song that will get you into Monster X. Let's just put it that way. And then once you start to go back into the discography, that was hard to say, discography, you'll start to recognize a lot of similarities, and the songs kind of all blending together, right? Where you can't really distinctly say this is from any one era. And honestly, that may not be a bad thing, especially if you're new to K-pop and you're trying to learn more about a group and perhaps even put all of their best songs or all of their A tracks on a playlist. So I think I can spin it off into a positive in that sense. So definitely check out Monster X if you're new to K-pop. If you've been listening to K-pop for a few years, probably one that, well, me personally, I won't go back to. But again, Monster X, just a name to recognize because they've been in the game for quite a while. So hopefully they switch it up, I think, is what we kind of landed on for their future and hopes for new music. All right, let's move on now to MAMAMOO with Where Are You Now? So I did read that letter from Delmonic at the very beginning to kind of set the tone today, set the mood for reflection and affection towards our favorite things. And then Koala went off into her little review of BI. But let's move on to MAMAMOO. What did you think about the white, milky tub that Hwasa was swimming in?
Oh God! Don't. Why are you bringing that up? God, God
It wasn't
damn it,
it wasn't
Warren.
it wasn't the best part of the music video for you? No?
Why?
I you can always count on Warren to go from like music analysis to just clownery.
Very weird topic.
Just clownery, right? Yes, so Mamamoo, they, I think still as of today, Huyin is not signed, if I'm not mistaken. But they're still doing releasing music together. Huyin released her solo just a few months ago, and I think it was a little bit of a surprise that they went into straight ballad for me. Not that, not surprising that they did a ballad so well, but in that I think we've expected a little bit more upbeat, and because it's summertime, songs with choreography, where they released a song like this. Beautiful song, beautiful music video, great styling, and even like the composition of like the shots and like the colors. I think Anita mentioned that it's very unmuted, it's gray, so there's a sense of not a sense of sadness, but a sense of like looking forward, right? Yeah, I think with all that said, I think it's a very interesting choice that they went with a power ballad for kind of their anniversary, and kind of saying like, okay, this is where we've been, this is all that we've done together, and now we're moving forward. And it almost felt like a breakup song, like a disbandment song. It's not. I don't think so. But okay, Koala, what did you think about what the crew had said about the song, and kind of the different opinions between Doug and Anita liking this style of vocals, and then Warren feeling that the dramatic style of Mamamoo isn't necessarily his favorite?
For a quick second, have you seen the news yet about Mamamoo?
I have not. Tell me more.
So there has been a leak that Wien didn't resign.
Oh, she did resign.
She didn't.
She didn't resign with the
She
company.
didn't renew her contract, and then RBW just said, "Yeah, they are still discussing," which basically means they are probably not renewing, to be honest, at this point. But they said they will keep activities as a group, so another GOT7-ish situation, maybe, more or less. We've seen a lot of people doing that nowadays, haven't we? Like groups staying together, but the members are in very different companies.
Honestly, I don't know. But you know what? That's kind of that's interesting. That's an interesting wrinkle. I don't know what the situation is. I don't know what is going to happen. Yeah, that's kind of a interesting wrinkle to everything. That said, what did you think about the song and music?
Yeah, very much just it's really a lot of like a goodbye song, which is now weird knowing that she probably didn't resign, but them still saying that the group is staying together, which I do believe because their bond seems really strong for someone like me who doesn't really follow them. But still, this type of song, even though it's supposed to be summer season, we were like really happy after Dun Dun Dance came out that we will now be getting summer bobs, but somehow all the songs have been like really sad and just moody, which I still like because I listen to sad music a lot. I like this song. I like the very not saturated MV, this kind of aesthetic. All in all, it was really great to also showcase their vocals, because I think the past songs have been like more upbeat and more focused on the dance and choreo, to maybe show like the greater audience again that they are capable of this. And
Yeah, no, I think them releasing a vocal heavy song is still on brand with them. And it's I don't think they've done it in a while. I think is what surprised me the most. And because, like you said, I think we've been set up with a few really high energy summer songs. Thank you for mentioning "Oh My Girls Dun Dun Dance." Everyone go listen to that song, by the way. And also, Fromos 9 and Rocket Punch had pretty incredible summer bop songs. So for Mamamoo, and I think this week in general with BI and Mamamoo having slower songs, did kind of change up the pace a little bit. But no, I think you said everything really well about just how they've flexed with their vocals and were able to kind of show their veteran music abilities. Um, yeah, I think one of the things I wanted to talk about from the main show was that Doug is a Moonbill simp, and apparently Jordan Retro Ones was a talking point, and I think Warren is a streetwear simp. So yeah, awesome. And then also the mention of Mamamoo's Killing Voice video. I think they have another one. Amazing vocalist. I think if you do just want a sample of what they can do vocally, those videos are excellent. A lot of artists have done compilations through that channel, but I think Mamamoo's is the most showcase of their vocal styling. Okay, so let's move on now to, well, anything else you want to say about Mamamoo? Any surprise news you want to drop? Perhaps Hwasa is I don't know, going to be on a Broadway show.
Not really.
Okay, all right. So let's move on now to EXA with "Don't Fight the Feeling." So we've had a couple sad songs this week. We're gonna end it with a summer song, a refreshing song, a very youthful song. So this crew described it as a throwback or a callback to SM boy groups of the past. When I was listening to the song and making my notes, the song felt retro, but I also couldn't define what era of retro this was. But I also knew this isn't like a retro sound. It just had a very like throwback vibe, and I really couldn't put my finger on it of like what this was. The crew did a nice job of like talking around it and like kind of piecing together that it's not necessarily retro, but it's like a callback to old SM, which is like, okay, I got this. But yeah, what did you think about the song and the members? This group of members kind of back after so many years.
A lot of green screen work in this MV. Like a hell ton. It also reminds me of Power. Like just the MV. I think the Power MV was also mainly green screens and them just weirdly doing dances around green screens, which makes it easier to implement Lay, I guess, because he's still like physically not part of the group. But yeah, I think I don't really remember the last episode. I think it was Obsession, which I didn't quite enjoy, which was also like a bit darker. So this seems like a good switch up also from that weird SM sound NCT-ish that we've been getting the past month. So yeah, this feels pretty much in line for SM title tracks. It works in my opinion. In the meantime, Kai's hair doesn't for me.
It's not it.
I don't know. What is your opinion
It's not it.
about the orange hair?
Kai looks like he's 12. Like Anita said it. They all look so young. Kai looks especially young with that hair, and I think it's like partly it's the styling, but also like that orange is like, oh yeah, you're a kid. You're a kid, dude. He's not a kid, by the way. He's like mid-20s.
I don't think a lot of people can pull off like orange hair. Orange is like really hard to style without it looking weird.
Yeah, I think you're right. And the thing is, he doesn't look bad with it. It's just he looks so young. Oh my god. That said, it's really cool to see Kai and Baekhyun do things in EXO again. Just because over the past 2 years, it's them either solo or with Super M. So it's like, oh, that's right. They started here. This is where they started, and they look great. It's really fun to see like familiar faces come back and kind of this group, essentially to get back together for the most part, right? With some exceptions with CG and placement. Yeah, I think what you said was really stood out to me about SM finally doing something a little different than their NCT sound this year, because You know, SM, great producers. You know, they got a lot of money. Their songs are gonna have a certain level of polish. But Shiny song, and then all the NCT songs this year. If I didn't know who did those songs, I would have told you it was the same group. But now with EXO, it's like, okay, nice, got something different, which is perfect because it lines up really well with summertime. And I think this is kind of the summer direction that we're all feeling most songs are going to go into. And EXO and SM does this very well. Did this song. I will point out that I also wrote a note about the rap breakdown. I wasn't a fan of like the rap trap segment, and I felt like it started to separate the different parts of the song. Like so, it felt like each member got essentially like a solo segment, but then they felt a little disconnected, like right after that rap breakdown. But thankfully, like I watched it as a music video, so I was like very much engaged with like the visuals and like the colors. So I wasn't too distracted. But I would say like that's probably the one criticism I have about the song. Not necessarily the rap itself, but the fact that it made the rest of the segments afterwards feeling a little disconnected. Yeah, any
How do
closing?
you like the lore? How do you like the lore?
I will not talk about the lore. No, thank you. Nope, we'll not be doing that. I know EXO has lore. We're not going to talk about that.
All SM has lore at this point. They have a universe.
Okay. I'll talk about it for like 2 seconds. I think it's absurd that we have an infographic to describe all of the SM lore. I think that is absolutely unnecessary and a complete barrier of entry to anyone who wants to enjoy just the music.
Hello, you want to listen to this music? Ah, by the way, this is the sheet of paper you need to to get everything. It's I guess people get more invested in it then. Maybe like the universe will have its own merch.
It will have its own merch, 100%. And you know what? A power to SM for making money that way. But I will not be participating. I'll just say that much.
Oh man.
Man, you got me on a rant. Thanks, Kwa. You're the best.
You're lucky that YG very much doesn't care for lore.
I'm lucky YG doesn't have the attention span to give to lore. That's another.
They tried a bit for Treasure and then gave up.
You see. At least that's one thing you can say about YG's ability or lack of ability to release music. Is they probably won't also release lore. Nice. All right, we're getting on a tangent. Anyways, so the song, the lore, what have you. I will say I will probably revisit this song. I don't typically revisit boy group songs, but this song is just a nice, happy, fun, youthful, upbeat song from a boy group that's been out for 10 years. I think Doug put it. This sounds like a year 4 song, not a year 10 song. And I think that's what makes it stand out to me the most. Any closing thoughts, Koala, on EXO?
I don't think so.
All right, so let's move on now to the Soju chart this week. A lot of interesting things happened. I typically on the side write down Doug, Warren, and Anita's order, right, of what they thought and felt. But we don't have to go into it too much. I will just point out that Warren is the agent of chaos this week, with not having the BTS song, still having For Almost 9, and putting TXT first, which surprisingly I enjoy that song. But what did you think about the Soju chart this week? Oh, and by the way, the Soju chart is at number 3, we have TXT with 01 Love Song, I Know I Love You. Number 2, EXO with Don't Fight the Feeling. And number 1, BTS with Butter. So what'd you think?
Warren likes angsty songs. This has been the case when like Kang Daniel came back with his one release after Paranoia. He really loves angsty songs. But I also like TXT as well. I would have also put it in my chart with like Illa and I don't know anything else. Maybe Yuki? Yutzi still? Oh god, the name. Maybe not her. The name, the pronunciation. Help.
This is gonna be a thing for the rest of time. How do you pronounce her name? We don't know. Um, Bonnie and Clyde's amazing. I still listen to both those songs off that single album. I mean, I think I clowned this a little bit in Harold's Homies. I just copy and pasted my list from 3 weeks ago, which consisted of Oh My Girl, Uji Sonia the Black, and For Almost Nine. I'm still listening to all those songs. Oh My Girl sadly did not make Spice King, but you know, we try. We almost got there. BTS did, however, get Spice King. They are now retired from the charts, the Soju chart moving forward. Great run. Also kind of crazy that it's been 3 weeks since that song came out. Do you feel like time is just moving very quickly for you recently?
Time is a construct.
You said it, not me. Anyways, any closing thoughts about how this Soju chart was constructed this week?
I don't think so. I'm just excited for next week because we got a lot of songs coming up, and now one space is like free for the chart.
I forget. Is it Twice and Brave Girls next week?
Twice only.
Twice. Let's go. And then Brave Girls the following week, I think. Is that correct?
Yes. With 17. 17.
All right, fine. You can be the boy group representative. We get it. All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening to This Week in SojuTalk Music. If you have any thoughts, feelings, or opinions, we are on Discord at the SojuTalk Kpop Podcast Discord. There is a dedicated SojuTalk channel, so let the crew and everyone know what you thought, what you thought about us. We got kind of derailed this week. We had a lot of emotions, but you know what? I think we did a nice job, being simps for all of these groups. So, yeah, we hope that you simped along with us. All right, moving on now to State of the Nation. I think it was a pretty straightforward little chat they had this week. Some takeaways is Doug on eBay trying to get streetwear. Doug on Uniqlo's website trying to get Jujutsu Kaisen streetwear. Doug and Warren getting, which shoe was it? It was the Michigan
Jordan. Was it a Jordan? Like Michigan color?
Michigan colors.
Nike or Jordan, wasn't it? Yeah,
I want to say Air Forces.
Forces? No, not Forces.
I'm wrong. Dunks? No? Okay. Jordans? All right, fine. I didn't write it down. I'm sorry, Warren.
I'm not in the shoe game.
But yeah, Warren flexed with those shoes because he showed this on the show, and I thought, yep, that's fire. That's straight fire. And they all hung out this week as well. So there was a SojuTalk event, a meetup. They got Korean barbecue. It was Shinboy, Nobias Nuna, Doug, and Warren. And they got Korean barbecue in Manhattan, which I think they described it very well. It was going to be very expensive. It was very expensive, but it sounded like it was incredibly worth it. What did you think about their description of all of the food, all of the deliciousness, and the $18 bottles of soju?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure whether that was worth it. That's a whole ass album, sir. $18? What the fuck?
See,
why? Alcoholism, capitalism.
Well, when Anita said like $8, $10, I was like, oh yeah, totally. And then Doug's like, $18. I was like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? So I think I mentioned this last week. I also had Korean barbecue 2 weeks ago, and I bought 3 bottles of soju. I don't think they were $18 each. I think our total bill was $30 a person. So,
oh my.
Yeah, I can only imagine the overall bill for the crew. But yes, it's all you can eat. So they come around with the plates, and you just order, and you have your shared grill. It's an experience. It's amazing. I don't know. I think they described it well with the different flavors and textures. It also really helps if you have one person who's like the designated grill guy or woman, because I have a cousin who I went with, and he's a chef. He's a cook. So he essentially took control of the tongs, and just he decided when the meats were done. And we also got steak pieces. I forget what cut Warren mentioned it as, but yeah, you definitely like want to monitor so you don't overcook it. And yeah, when my cousin did it, it came out like this juicy like red color, and it's like, oh, this is delicious. This is amazing. Yeah, okay, I'm getting on a tangent of my experience. What did you think about the corn cheese and how the crew described all of the food at the Korean barbecue place this week, Koala?
Never had corn cheese. Not really a fan of corn. Like, I don't know. I don't really like it. It's like a childhood thing. Got me very hungry though. It's been like 2 years since I went to KBBQ. Oh, I'm missing it. I want food.
Yeah, it made me very hungry to listen to them talk about food. Kind of sad that we didn't get to hang out with them, but you know what? One day we'll all get to hang out. Um, yeah, are you going to convince Doug, Warren, and Anita to do a
Hire
European
me.
meetup? Oh, hire you. I was gonna say meetup for a KCON. What's in Europe? KCON Sweden, KCON Berlin. Are those
I
actual?
love how it's normally like cities and you just say Sweden.
The whole city country of Sweden.
It was Paris in like 2015, I think, and it was supposed to be Moscow. Maybe it will be Berlin at some point.
Yeah, that would be possible.
Hopefully.
Yeah, but also have them hire you because they could use an
Yeah,
intern.
totally.
An intern.
Totally.
College credits.
I'm a good translator. I can help.
You speak like 10 languages.
Like 2 at best.
More or less, something like that. And then they all, I don't know, food comed, and Doug slept with Warren. Is that the conclusion you came to?
Well, spooning, I guess.
You know, when you put it that way, when you take away the context, and then so the exact thing that Doug said was he slept in the same bed as Warren, and Doug does not kiss and tell, and you could just simplify that by saying Doug slept with Warren, and you know, aggregate that and like tweet that. There you go. So yes, this is all chaotic right now. Just like the main show, we kind of just don't really have a direction near the end of the show this week. They went shopping, right? I think Doug mentioned that they were going to go to Uniqlo, but it sounds like they just bought the clothes online and picked it up at the store. I wasn't.
I don't know.
I wasn't so
I don't know.
clear right at the end of that. But yes, we would love to see Doug's Uniqlo haul and Doug's drip, as it were. I think that's going to be a segment next week for World Cup, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I think a very fun, casual hangout end to the show this week on State of the Nation. Any closing thoughts about what you thought the crew was up to over the week? Also, kind of sad that Anita couldn't join. Really wish Anita gets to participate next time.
I don't think I have any thoughts left.
All right, cool. Just surviving with allergies, I imagine. Okay, now closing thoughts and weekly check-in with us, the 2 clowns here on the SojuTalk Nation podcast. Koala, what have you been up to this week? How's life?
Penthouse. I didn't know one episode could be so bad. Why are you doing this to me? This left me with more questions. I thought it would answer me some. Granted, it was also like really fast paced, so a lot of stuff happened in the 1.5 hours. But yeah, that's like the only thing. I wanted to start Loud, so the survival show of JYP and P Nation, but I didn't get into it yet. I will probably watch it like over the weekend. And Christine, one of my youth with you guys, had his birthday. Very cute. Very cute to see the trainees interact on Weibo.
What have you heard about Loud? I've I don't know if I'm just like not opening the channels that are talking about it, but I haven't heard anything, and I'm just
We talked about it in KTV.
okay. I'm just curious because I'm probably the one who's not connected and out of touch, so I just am curious to see if it's
I mean, you would probably
entertaining.
also not get invested into it because it's boys again.
Uh,
But,
are Psy and JYP hilarious? Because that's kind of the reason why I would watch it.
I can't tell you yet. I haven't watched it yet, but it's like 70 kids. Like literal kids, like 10-year-olds.
Oh, perfect. Again, 10-year-olds. Perfect. Is Kai gonna pop in?
These 10-year-olds are destined to get rigged off the show. They are just there for the chalk factor. None of them will actually make the group.
Oh, that's kind of sad. Unfortunate.
That's been the case for every Survivor show I've ever watched. It's also been the case in the YG Treasure Box. That one kid that was 12 was also just there for the lols because he was 12.
I mean,
He never had a realistic chance.
kind of an unfortunate outcome of trying to make entertaining dramatic television. But you know what? You know what, kids? It's kind of how life works. It's a life lesson early on, and hopefully they take these lessons and they persevere and follow their hearts and all the other shit. I guess for me, so I revisited Chungha's Querencia this week.
Querencia.
That album is lit. Holy crap. It's so good. Like, I think when you first listen to an album and there's a lot of discussion, your opinion is somewhat influenced by the conversation around you, right? Whether or not that's like the main show or people just also listening to it at the same time. And because there's so many songs, I think it's just hard to like consume it all and like make any like for me, like making like strong facts, like thoughts and opinions about like the entire album. But now like months, like with like months separating from the initial release and now like listening to it like more intently, Chungha's amazing. Side C is essentially like the summer side. It starts off with Play and then it goes into Dementia and Lemon. It works for this time of the year. Holy crap. It's like such a summer like Latin, like Spanish, a lot of Spanish like words and lyrics. It's just, yeah, I can't even like piece words together right now. It's so good. But yeah, check it out. Go listen to it. It's an album that came out this year, so it does count for 2021. Side C is a great summer album, summer feels vibe. So it definitely fits in with June and just moving on into the next couple of months. So yeah, Chungha, she's amazing. She's great. Any closing thoughts for the week, Koala? Anything else you want to leave the nation with?
17 posted more teasers than I thought they would. I had to hold myself back. They posted a ton of teasers and they look so fucking good.
And we'll end it with simping as usual. All right. Well, I think that'll do it. A lot of 17 discussion next week, I'm guessing.
The next after.
Oh, 2 weeks. Oh, perfect. So I have a week to brace myself. Got it.
You have Brave Girls to talk about it, so
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Speaking of Brave Girls, KME made a city pop playlist a few weeks ago. That's probably the playlist I listened to the most of like all the music of the past few weeks. I mean, I listened to Chungha a lot this week, but if I'm not listening to Chungha, I'll listen to that city pop playlist. It has the Brave Girls song "We Ride." Holy crap, that's a good city pop song. So check that out. Check out KME's playlist. Check out KME's channel, KME Rex, on the SojuTalk Kpop Podcast Discord. Yeah, I think that's it for this week. Any closing thoughts? Or double closing thoughts this week for you, Koala?
no.
Nothing for me aside from hopefully I get a job soon because I just did a final interview. So yeah, gonna sneak that in, and yeah, wish me luck. Thank you for listening to the Soju Talk Nation podcast, episode 22.
Subscribe on YouTube, follow on Spotify or your preferred podcast platform, and continue the conversation on the SojuTalk Kpop Podcast Discord.
This has been the Soju Talk Nation for Koala. This is Crispy. Bye.
Bye!